What's up guys, it's Bucky. Welcome to your 25th Java tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to be going over different methods in the math class. Now let's see, it was probably like 2 tutorials ago when I built a simple compound interest calculator. We use one of the methods called power by using pow, and this allows us to use the power function, methods they're called in Java. But in this one I'm going to be teaching you about other useful methods. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and make a print line out on the screen. So print line, and make it take an empty parameter for now. And in this parameter I'm going to be putting all the methods of the math class. So go ahead and type math, put your dot separator, and then the first one, first one I want to teach you guys about is called the absolute value, and that's ABS, and inside your parameter it takes one number. Now what the absolute value does is take any number, negative or not, and give you the absolute value of it. So if you have 26.7 and you go ahead and run this, it would output 26.7. This is pretty much, if you have a positive 26 it would give you 26, if you have negative 26 it would give you 26. How much away from 0 that this is. So that's what ABS does, absolute value. The next thing I want to teach you about is ceil, and this stands for ceiling. Any number you give it, it's going to round it up. So if you give it 7.4, when you run it, it's going to round it to 8. So even if it is really supposed to round down to 7, when you use ceil, it always rounds it up. Now since it has ceil, there's always something called floor. Again, this takes a number, say you have 7.8, it always rounds it down. So again, ceil always rounds up the number, floor always rounds down the number. So your floor, if you have 7.8, is going to be 7. Now that we learned absolute value, ceil, and floor, let me teach you about something else called max. Now this is the first one where in the last 3 we learned how to make a method that takes only one parameter, but max is the first one that takes multiple parameters in a single method. So what max does is you give it 2 numbers and it gives you the maximum of those numbers. So say you have 2 parameters, 8.6 and separate them with a comma, and 5.2. Whenever you run this, it gives you 8.6 because that's the maximum of the 2 numbers. So that's how you can get 2 numbers and find the maximum of those. And again, whenever you have a method like that, you also have the opposite, and this one is called min. What min does is take the lesser of the 2 numbers. So let's run this, and the lesser of 8.6 and 5.2 is 5.2, right down there. So now we learn absolute value, ceil, floor, max, min. Again, our power function, which takes power, and say you want something like 5 to the 3rd power, you would use 5 for your first argument and 3 for your next one. Again, when you run this was the same one we used in our compound interest calculator. It gets 125, since 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. And the last built-in method I want to teach about in the math class is something called square root. And SQRT, that's what it stands for. It only takes one parameter, such as 9, and it finds the square root of that number. So when you run this, the square root of 9 is 3, outputs 3. So that's how you use your built-in methods from your math class. Again, you want to notice that you don't need to create an object like you do when you're making your own classes. This is built in. So that's how you use math with your dot separator and then the method name, and then put however many arguments it takes. I just showed you guys, let's see, absolute value, ceil, floor, max, min, pow, square root. I just showed you guys the 7 probably most common ones, and those are the ones we're going to be working with from now on. So I just want to show you guys what those do because we're going to be using them, and I don't want you guys to get lost. So play around with those, throw them in your built-in methods, and you can make some pretty cool stuff with those. So for now, I just want to show you guys that. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next tutorial.